Everyone. Thank you guys for the Global Digital Health Forum for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. I'm here to present to you the technologies that I'm hoping to brainstorm with you, the audience, as well as the global community as it relates to digital health and global players that are currently impacting the world and the social determinants of health. It is currently the foundational framework that is using to inspire the digital technologies that I'm coming out with and that hope to partner with other persons, especially related to AI. I'm hoping to use ethical science, technology, and engineering, and utilize empathy, superb humanity, as well as humanoids and sustainability to hopefully create the African Neo Renaissance and transition the state of descendants of Africa and their life for the future. So, just to give you a little bit background on me, so I am a very deep thinker, creative prevention strategist, and leader. I graduated from Cornell with a Bachelor's of Arts in Biology and Society, and I am currently a co-founder of a startup that is looking to create pre-seed funding to actualize technologies to help with the issues at hand. You can always connect with me on social media. Professionally, LinkedIn, Linktree has everything on the internet that relates to me, as well as Instagram, or you can just email me. But go to Linktree and you'll connect to everything else digitally. I am also available always to look at my portfolio on creativebyleonie.team. So, just before we start, I want to acknowledge that I'm currently in Ontario, Canada, that is on reserve land that belongs to the Indigenous community here. I want to speak about that first and give it a disclaimer as we begin this conversation. I'm going to speak also about possibly triggering global issues that relate to war, psychological distress, physical distress that might be sensitive based depending on the experiences that you've experienced in life recently. If that is something that is too heavy to discuss, please click off of this presentation. But if it's something that you can manage and we can brainstorm together, please continue watching or continue this conversation with me. So just before I begin as well, I just wanted to say that my endeavors are seeking to reduce investments on defense forces and hopefully invest in social determinants of health that will allow us to divest from plutocrats and level the playing field for all human beings globally. I'm hoping to also utilize social scientists as the framework thinkers for these issues and then utilize technological lenses to help achieve the goals in mind that we all have globally. I am looking from guidance from the White House currently as they have just released a playbook as it relates to social determinants of health, and you will see the diagrams in the presentations as we speak. But essentially, the value proposition includes prevention of diseases, reducing digital conflict, promoting renewable sustainability in and out of this earth. Cool. So recent deaths I want to focus on here is the African diaspora. So this is by factual basis the listing of death tolls that have happened, right? And they're obvious. They're within vulnerable populations that exist within BIPOC. But I'm looking to focus specifically on Africa as a continent and Asia as persons that have critically experienced the most death here. So whether you exist in the diaspora of Africa or have some African blood in you, which is majority of us, that's just how it worked. We came from Africa. As a result of that, though, and the current business models or business strategies that exist, there's been a lot of death, not just due to COVID-19, but that is something that will definitely be spoken about here. But the targets of coming up with improved strategies to improve the world relate to vulnerable populations, elderly, and people that have underlying health conditions, right? So problems are that the Center for Preventive Action approximately 237,000 have died as a result of organized armed conflict. If it's armed conflict, that means it's preventable. Or you can prevent someone from shooting a gun. I know that like that sounds easier said than done, as sometimes we have to defend ourselves if someone that's just per the law. But I just want to highlight the fact that all of the trends that you're seeing here on this map, as outlined by the Center for Preventive Action, is all related to armed conflict, which means that persons have used some sort of ammunition to take lives here. And this is across the world. There are others that may exist. Only the White House will know that. I'm not a defense lawyer, but just want to highlight this, right? So as the pandemic continues to unfold, it is essential to understand that psychological impacts have happened to a lot of people. And I just want to highlight the current cities that I have here, which include Amsterdam, London, Los Angeles, Paris, NYC, San Francisco, Sao Paulo, Singapore, Sydney, and Toronto, as these cities are the melting pot for BIPOC, who have been critically impacted by COVID-19. So that's the significance of this study and the technologies that will happen as we create science, which is inspired. I also want to highlight the fact that the presentation you're seeing here will complement the other presenters within this range of lightning talk or within this time frame. So definitely you can use this as a background for the technology that exists with my colleagues that are presenting with me during this time. So this is Social Determinants of Health. If you don't know, it looks at non-medical factors that affect health. Thank you to the White House for creating this. So there's neighborhood, built environment, social community context, economic stability, education, access, quality, healthcare access, and quality. This is the playbook. The White House is looking like they're trying to tackle this like in a football game, and I love that. So if you want to read their full playbook, it's available for public release, which is amazing. So I want to speak about globalization rates by the IMF. So we are currently here, and we're going through the slow globalization. The economy has increased generally as by apparently this graph, but I want to say that this is probably not the most accurate graph in 2023. And there has been impacts in the stock market and other, if it's not stocks, you can look at cryptocurrency, and I'll get into that after, as globalization has not necessarily been looking at its best currently as it relates to ethics, like climate science and how that is impacting the earth itself. And I also want to speak about how globalization is directly correlated with the mental health agenda. So as you may see here by this graph by OECD, the US, which is one of the biggest players in globalization or has historically impacted globalization, is affected by depression and other mental illnesses at the highest rate. It doesn't matter if you have all the money in the world or if you are in the lower class. It doesn't matter if you're a plutocrat or you're lower class. Everyone has been impacted mentally by these times. It doesn't matter. And these are some of the most developed countries in the world. But I want to note that the United States is highest here. And that also is related to global temperatures. The global temperatures are not looking great. Thank you to Frontiers for having this lecture and providing these graphs. But just to show that the fact that global mean temperature changes have seen changes as it relates to deforestation. There's been floods, drought, depending on where you are in the world, the climate that you exist in, it has manifested in different ways. But naturally, there are fires that are coming to play, or unnaturally man-made. to help with building more houses, to allot for our population size, which is about to extrapolate into 8 billion, and is going to continue increasing. But just to note that globalization is directly correlated with or the state of the climate on Earth currently. And in terms of Congress, this is the action that the president is looking to take as it relates to physical activity, nutrition, etc. So you can read the playbook, and he outlines it a little bit better. But in general, Medicare is one of the programs that was specifically signed before President Biden, President Obama signed that in, and Obamacare, and that has been one way in which we've been trying to impact lower income families. And federally, the budget is hopefully looking to increase, which that will definitely alleviate. And I have some ideas, so I just wanted to highlight that. But essentially, globally, outside of the context of the United States, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, safety, and physiological needs are not being met. As relates to the Israel-Palestine conflict, as you see here, safety, physiological, persons are dying. And then I just wanted also to show, in terms of technology, and since we're talking, this is relevant about digital health, bigger companies than what my startup is looking to do, such as Apple Incorporated, is responsible for death as well. Exploitive tendencies of large companies to exploit kids or utilize kid labor, it directly is correlated to how we think about globalization. And though there has been trends, and we're looking to impact finance and the GDP of all developed countries, as someone that was born in a non-developed country, an ex-colony, I have seen firsthand the impacts of exploitive and cheap labor on persons that look like me. And as you may see here pictured, this is all for iPhones and VR and AR that these people will not necessarily even have access to. The persons that are doing this sort of work and cheap labor are not necessarily having access to even the technologies that are created by Apple Inc., because that is just how society is set up. And that's just the business model that we've used. So I wanted to highlight these two situations, or world most pressing issues. And then I wanted to speak to and highlight the current green projects that are being done in the EU, and just highlight also that the metals that are used to create technologies globally will usually go to the locations and cities that I mentioned that would be important for the study that I'm looking to do. And it is these cities that are directly impacted or impacting global emissions. And that is what is shown here as it relates to renewable resources and non-renewable. So wind, solar, hydrogen, biofuels, etc. Everything is still related to carbon emissions. And these countries and cities are the biggest players and need to be held accountable when we speak about conversations as it relates to climate. So also cost of living. I wanted to speak about the fact that cost of living has changed depending on wherever you've migrated to, which, as I'm saying, if you're a part of the greater diaspora, a lot of the cities that I mentioned here they have the biggest populations. So I wanted to speak about homelessness. Homelessness has extrapolated in crazy amounts, especially in these cities, where persons that look like me, though that they are there and have migrated and tried to create a better life, they have not necessarily benefited from the fact that globalization has been the primary driver. here. And I just wanted to speak about this graph here, which speaks about um, the materials, again, that are impacting the world today in terms of our climate. So I want to speak about Eternal Ecosystem, which is the startup that I'm looking to build with potential players that I spoke about, and that are interested, or hopefully persons that are watching here who are thinking about these issues within their own companies, right? So given the high death tolls, a lot of us are looking as thought leaders to AI to help us out to automate and to reduce time and to reduce um, technologies that are non-renewable. So I'm hoping, as someone that has knowledge from a scientific standpoint, as to be a trained doctor and lawyer, and also help with the science, but from also a computer science lens, to help with communication and help with the digital divide, right? I think that a lot of time, because of globalization and the way we think about business, it has tend to be transactional. What we do in this world, we think about transactions and money first, uh, and that is our mindset. And as a result, we don't think about ethically how we can realign decisions, business models, whether business models that we use mathematics to think about how the world is currently at. I think if we come more from a place that is not so transactional, then perhaps will help alleviate the current issues that have to do with crises related to food, medication, etc. So also just wanted to show you guys this diagram. Thank you again to the White House for creating this, which is essentially showing you guys the framework, but through a reverse string, and just to explain it a little bit more. So I wanted to speak about the current opportunity as related to the blockchain, decentralization, and that impact on the world currently. Globalization, by the IMF, that graph did not speak about necessarily blockchain, and cryptocurrency and that impact on the current GDPs of countries. But I want to, because this is another way that we can use non-renewable resources to hopefully impact the world. So how I think this intersects with the social determinants of health, essentially your finances and your standing is what can possibly help your health. They're directly correlated, right? So we know that the SDOH framework looks at non-medical factors. So with finance and Web3, hopefully there can be a better way in which you can secure yourself as a human being to help to commodify your digital assets or your ability to create. As an artist, thankfully to cryptocurrency creators and companies such as Meta, persons are able to digitize and commodify the digital assets. If more people who are on the other side of the digital divide, so people that are not on this meeting right now, are able to have access to create, then they will be able to create and generate income and hopefully help themselves and not be in the position that they are, and hopefully experience social mobility, right? So here are the current players: Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. I think that in the future there are persons that will be able to even create their own commerce from their own coins, and possibly be able to impact their current standing without utilizing any sort of non-renewable way to generate income. So I wanted to speak about this and the fact that as a human being, you have intellectual promise. Everyone does, and whether you're disabled, whether you have a disability, you have the ability to create, and that can help you in society, right? So I just wanted to speak about how this may intersect. This is based on a graph in November 2023. You're seeing this in December, and I think that there's a projected trillions of digital assets that will be continued to be created, based on the fact that more of the world will have access to digitally create. So this is a framework that just speaks about health and education. One part of the SDOH framework is the fact that health equity is something that is just recently being spoken about, as a key way to think about medicine and health. I think more, more and more we're gonna continue to look not just at the individual factors, but think, like, see bigger picture and understand how we all literally impact the health of the world, and our responsibility as a community member and a citizen to help others, and how much of an impact we have on others. So this is one framework that you can definitely utilize to think as a leader, a business leader, as how you can impact the world and health of yourself and your loved ones. Also, the science justice model is another way to organize society and to think about how you can help. I also wanted to speak about AI, law, and human interaction. So, in 2023, when we think about digital health, this is beyond humans. We're thinking about humanoids. We're thinking about other manifestations of AI, machine learning, robotics, etc., that will be able to impact or human intelligence and heighten our ability to create and generate. So this is just another graph that's just showing how our current world, like real world, is impacted or is being intersect to affect the artificial world, and how that will possibly drive tug and war, honestly, between satisfaction and justice. Because as a human, ethically, when you think about beneficence, justice, and respect as foundations of ethics, the way in which we think about AI and how we contribute to the world, there will always be some sort of tug and war, as we try to think about ways in which to improve based on our own individual belief systems, right? So here is just a current show of like my own AI and and my impacts that I'm looking to have on the field, and you guys will have to stick around to see more of these technologies. And I wanted to speak a lot again about the branches of business affecting climate change. So electrification and hydrogen, heat and biomass and construction, right? And these are all impacting climate science. So I wanted to give an opportunity to allow you guys to see some of the startups or global players that are currently impacting the world. So electrification, digital health, and biotech are the biggest players on these issues. And you can see that there are so many different trends. So there's like EV charging infrastructure, thermal management systems, grid scale storage, energy intelligence, microgrids of energy generation, thermal management, lightweight technology. There's remote patient monitoring, medical wearables, healthcare analytics, cloud healthcare, digital therapeutics, EHR, home healthcare, patient management as it relates to digital health. And then as it relates to construction, these are different companies that are big impacts, and these are globally. These are players that are currently affecting the field. So at another time, you can definitely look at this graph, and it'll give you some projections too about the persons that are currently the biggest thought leaders as it relates to engineering. So as we rethink as human beings sustainably how we can impact the world, these are the models that I think should be at the forefront of the issues that I explained previously in this presentation that may help us to be a little bit more sustainable. So G to G, which is government to government, B to G, which is business to government, uh, G to C, which is government to commerce or government to citizens or consumer to business. And then I'm also hoping to help create in law ecosystem to ecosystem and ecosystem to foundation. Given that artificial intelligence is currently completely changing the world, there are different laws that have to be created to to keep us accountable as human beings, right? So I'm hoping to help this be enacted in law, where there's laws that are created to help with ventures that, as it relates to ecosystems only, because digitally there are ecosystems that exist, but in terms of intellectual property and law, there are some persons who don't necessarily have ownership over, for example, a certain operating system such as Linux. So if I was to release a operating system tomorrow, I don't necessarily have ownership over that, or I might not necessarily have ownership of that if I didn't think of it before. So it's just to highlight the fact that as there are more technologies that are created as a result of the proliferation of machine learning and AI, there needs to be more law to be accounted, to hold us accountable as creators that are able to do more commerce, as relates to AI and machine learning. Like there literally needs to be more accountability in mind. And so yeah, that is the proposition for that. And then aside from that, other types that have been used for years as it relates to electrical businesses, digital health, construction. In engineering is B2B, B2C, C2C, C2B, and e-government. So as I said, a lot of countries have digitized. There are so many other countries out there that have not digitized, that need to, and are in need help with this, from more developed countries. As I said, I am from a country, Jamaica, that is looking to do this and digitizing as much as possible, like EHR records as it relates to hospitals, or as it relates to other social institutions such as schools, etc. And all of these factors need to be thought about as it relates to our law and its convergence with AI. So if you have any questions as it relates to the presentation, please feel free to email me at leonie@createdbyleonie.com. Let's get to work. If you're someone that is a business leader, or you're looking to partner, looking to speak more about this presentation and information presented here, feel free to email me. And then also wanted to say that as an individual creator, unaffiliated with any government, despite my citizenships, I am inviting anyone to, one, contribute to pre-seed funding if you're looking to be an investor in these technologies that I have related to the issues presented here. You can contribute using cryptocurrency, using MetaMask. Scan this barcode, and also looking to give proceeds to charity as relates to these world's pressing issues that I outlined here. And then aside from that, you can always connect with me through scanning this barcode as an individual through Linktree, and that will allow you to see me digitally. And hopefully there you'll be able to also purchase some art that is going to be used to generate income for this startup, and also to give to other charities that are currently on site in Africa, helping with the issues I'm speaking about here, and other less developed countries. So yeah, so thank you guys for listening to this presentation. I am hoping to help, as I said, with less developed countries, and utilize the most renewable technologies, renewable assets to be able to improve the economy and leverage creation, digital assets, so that we can improve the world. So yeah, I'm the inventor of a couple of technologies that are coming out, and I hope to work with you all and speak to you guys more about it in the very near future. Thank you so much for listening, and we will connect soon. Bye.